My dog seized the moment, adjusting his leg until it rested comfortably against my thigh. The warmth emanating from him was undeniable, deepening the unspoken bond we shared, a silent connection that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. I am Sarah, a 34-year-old woman living a fulfilling life in a quiet suburban neighborhood with my husband, David, and our 3 wonderful children. Embracing my plus-size figure, measuring 42 inches at the chest, 34 inches at the waist, and 40 inches at the hips, has been a journey of self-acceptance, one I have navigated with confidence and grace. David and I have shared 12 beautiful years of marriage, filled with love, laughter, and a partnership that has made us best friends. Together, we have built a secure and joyful life, yet it is often in the quiet moments of our daily routine that unexpected challenges arise. The turning point came one winter when Ethan, David's mother's dog, stayed with us while his parents were on vacation. Though Ethan had always been a cherished part of our family, this visit felt different. He carried an air of newfound maturity, his tall, sturdy frame complemented by an endearing expression that could melt anyone's heart. Initially, I thought nothing of it, viewing him merely as the dog I had watched grow up. However, circumstances soon aligned to create an intimacy that tested the very boundaries I had set. One brisk December morning, after David left for work and the children had gone to school, the house fell into an unusual silence. As I attended to household chores, I realized after finishing the laundry that I had forgotten to grab a towel for my shower. Wrapped in my robe, I called out, "Ethan, could you bring me a towel and place it on the bed?" A brief pause followed before I heard his footsteps approaching. He knocked on the door, cheerfully announcing, "Here you go, Aunt Sarah." Opening the door just enough to take the towel, I reached out, only for my robe to slip slightly. The unexpected exposure made Ethan's eyes widen in astonishment, and for a brief moment, we were both immobilized, caught in an unforeseen tableau. Flustered, I quickly tightened my robe around myself, warmth rushing to my cheeks. "Thank you," I mumbled, shutting the door behind me. What should have been a trivial occurrence proved to be anything but. The intensity of Ethan's gaze lingered in my mind longer than I would have liked. In the days that followed, I noticed a shift in his behavior, actively seeking opportunities to be near me, volunteering to help with household chores, and positioning himself closer during family movie nights. His presence was charged with an unspoken tension I struggled to ignore. One afternoon, while folding laundry in the bedroom, my dog Max barked at the door before entering, without waiting for an invitation. "Aunt Sarah," I muttered to myself with a chuckle, as if Max could engage in human conversation. Over the years, he had become more than just a pet, he was family, my shadow, and lately, an inexplicably constant presence. He leaped onto the bed, scattering the neatly folded laundry with playful energy that earned him a sigh from me. "Max, no," I gently scolded, nudging him aside. Yet instead of bounding away as usual, he remained still, his eyes fixed on me with an expression that seemed almost searching. I shook my head. "What's gotten into you, boy?" Max let out a low whimper, lowering his head onto my lap. The softness of his touch sent an odd, inexplicable warmth through my chest. His tail wagged slowly, rhythmically, as if awaiting my response. "All right, you win," I said with a small laugh, scratching behind his ears. His body relaxed under my touch, lifting the weight of the day, yet I couldn't shake how peculiar his behavior had become. He had always been affectionate, but now he seemed determined to remain by my side at all times, his gaze lingering on me with an intensity one struggled to comprehend. One evening, while replacing a burnt-out light bulb in the kitchen, I stood on a stool, stretching to secure the bulb in its socket. "Almost there," I muttered, balancing precariously on my tiptoes. Ethan entered the room then, his claws softly clicking against the tiled floor. He paused, tilting his head as if evaluating my predicament. "Not much you can do to assist here, Max," I joked, glancing down at him. Just as I twisted the bulb into place, the stool wobbled beneath me. My heart raced as I lost my balance, but before I could fall, Ethan lunged forward, standing on his hind legs and pressing his paws against my waist to steady me. I gasped, gripping the counter for support. Good catch, boy, I said, stepping down with slightly trembling hands. Instead of retreating, Ethan remained close, his body pressed against mine. His warmth was reassuring, yet there was something in the way he looked at me that made my breath catch. I crouched to his level, running my fingers through his fur. You're truly something special, you know that? I whispered. His tail wagged in response, but his deep, knowing eyes held mine in a manner that felt almost human. From that day forward, Max's behavior became increasingly unusual. He sought out opportunities to be near me, curling up at my feet while I worked and resting his head in my lap whenever I sat down. It was as if he could not bear to be apart, and the more time we spent together, the more difficult it became to ignore the unspoken bond between us. One late night, as the house lay in slumber, I sat in the living room, gazing at the flickering flames in the fireplace. Ethan lay beside me, his head resting on my lap. I absent-mindedly stroked his fur, my thoughts racing. "What is it about you, Max?" I murmured. "Why do I feel this connection to you?" He lifted his head, his eyes locking onto mine, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The rational part of my mind urged me to stop, to push him away, yet my heart, long burdened with loneliness and restlessness, betrayed me. Ethan moved closer, his nose grazing my hand, and an inexplicable warmth enveloped me. As the firelight flickered across the room, I leaned into him, surrendering to the moment. Suddenly, I found myself on the ground with Ethan hovering over me. He left shortly afterward, and we never spoke of the incident. I convinced myself it was a momentary lapse in judgment, a fleeting instance of vulnerability that I vowed would not happen again. Yet the burden of guilt remained a heavy weight I carried alone. Even now, as I write these reflections, I wrestle with the thought of confessing to David. He deserves the truth, yet the fear of jeopardizing the life we have built together looms over me. At times, I revisit that moment, contemplating the different paths my life might have taken. But I quickly remind myself of the deep love I have for my family, a love that will always overshadow any fleeting temptation. Life presents us with unexpected challenges, and we may falter along the way. Yet, in these vulnerable moments, we discover our true resilience, the capacity to prioritize love, loyalty, and forgiveness for ourselves and those we hold dear.